Welcome to the Deep Dive. This week we're unpacking a really critical 10-day forecast. We're looking at Europe and West Russia, specifically the extreme weather hitting from June 28th to July 7th, 2025. And this isn't just, a standard weather report. It's more of a deep dive into how these immediate events really reflect our rapidly changing climate.
Exactly. And what's so important, I think, is understanding how these short-term things, these heat wave alerts in Europe, the shifting storm patterns in Russia, they aren't just happening in isolation. They're actually being sort of amplified by the broader climate trends. It makes things much more unpredictable. So our goal today is really to help you grasp the core impacts and, what it means for you right now.
Okay, let's start with Europe then. The heat wave, we're seeing forecasts, 5 to 10 degrees Celsius above normal, widespread. The UK's got amber heat health alerts out, temperatures hitting the mid-30s Celsius, and cities like Rome, Madrid, potentially pushing 40 degrees Celsius. That seems incredibly high, especially for this time of year. What does that really signify?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, quite concerning. You see, early season heat waves like this one, even if they don't smash all-time records, can be much more dangerous. Populations just aren't used to it yet. Our bodies haven't had time to acclimatize.
Okay, so it's the shock to the system, basically.
Precisely. And then you add in the issue of tropical nights. That's when the temperature doesn't drop below 20 degrees Celsius overnight. It means your body just doesn't get a chance to recover, and that dramatically escalates the health risks.
Right. And the impacts are already visible, aren't they? Tragically so. We're hearing about wildfires near Athens, serious fire warnings in France, and that awful report of a heat stroke death in Mallorca. These aren't abstract warnings anymore.
Not at all. They're immediate, very real signals. And if you connect this to the bigger climate picture, Europe is warming twice as fast as the global average. That's a known fact. An event like this current heat wave, it's estimated to be around 100 times more likely now than it was before industrialization.
100 times. That's just staggering. Okay, so Europe's dealing with intense heat. Let's shift east now to West Russia, the North Caucasus region. You mentioned shifting patterns there during the same period. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a really fascinating contrast, actually. Initially, say from June 29th to July 2nd, the forecast for the North Caucasus shows more like isolated thunderstorms, showers, and cooler temperatures around 25 degrees Celsius. But then, from July 3rd onwards, there's a pretty significant shift. It becomes predominantly sunny and much hotter, rising to 27, maybe 32 degrees Celsius.
So a delay, then the heat arrives.
Kind of. And what's particularly noteworthy here is Russia as a whole is warming even faster than Europe, about 2.5 times the global average rate. But while most of Russia is seeing intensifying storms as part of that warming, some southern regions, like the North Caucasus we're talking about, are actually showing less storm intensification compared to other areas.
So climate change isn't uniform even within one massive country.
Exactly. It highlights the complexity. Climate change manifests differently depending on local geography, atmospheric patterns, all sorts of things. It creates these unique regional challenges.
And Russia has that whole other layer too, right? The permafrost issue versus, paradoxically, new Arctic shipping routes opening up because of melting ice. It's complex. But stepping back again, looking at the whole picture, Europe's heat, Russia's shifts, what does this tell us globally?
Well, it really drives home a critical point, underlined by the fact that 2024 was the warmest year on record. We averaged 1.55 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels globally. That's not just a statistic, it's a huge warning sign. It basically tells us the future climate scientists warned about. It's not the future anymore, it's here. And it seems to be accelerating.
And the costs, they were just astronomical, both human and economic. You mentioned over 60,000 heat-related deaths in Europe back in 2022. And what was it, 18.2 billion in storm and flood damage in Europe just in 2024. It's hard to even comprehend those numbers.
It is. And these figures, they point towards what we call a growing adaptation deficit. Essentially, our infrastructure, our societies, our planning. It just isn't keeping pace with how fast the climate is changing. Think about power grids failing in extreme heat or flood defenses designed for yesterday's storms suddenly being overwhelmed. We're often reacting, not preparing.
Right. Playing catch up constantly. So, wrapping this up, what's the key takeaway for you listening to this deep dive? It seems clear that anticipating these kinds of interconnected hazards, being ready for heat waves, understanding how climate shifts affect your region, it's absolutely crucial now for resilience.
Absolutely. The need for much stronger adaptation measures and faster global action to cut emissions, it's just undeniable at this point. We're in a really critical window.
Okay, here's a final thought to leave you with. If climate change keeps outpacing our ability to adapt as societies, what are the hidden costs? Beyond the direct damages we've talked about today, what other consequences might emerge, reshaping our world in ways we're maybe only just beginning to understand? Something to think about.